Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that trips up so many people learning English, the four main types of if conditionals. But look, we're not just going to sit here and memorize dry grammar rules. Instead, we're going to map them out using a really simple, super visual concept. I like to call it the ladder of reality. Let's dive right in. Here's a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the basics of conditionals, then climb the ladder. We've got the zero conditional for the facts, the first conditional for possible futures, the second conditional for imaginary situations, the third conditional for the unreal past, and we'll wrap it all up with a quick review and a challenge. All right, section 1, the basics of conditionals. This is all about cause and effect. Before we even step onto that ladder, let's get completely clear on what a conditional actually is. At its core, it is literally just cause and effect. You're describing a condition, almost always starting with the word if, and then you're stating the specific result of that condition. Think of the absolute classic example. If it rains, I will stay home. The cause, or condition, is if it rains, and the exact effect is I will stay home. It's just a simple logical sequence. But here's the catch with English. The way we phrase that sequence totally changes depending on how real or how likely the situation is. Moving on to section 2, the zero conditional. This is where we deal with the facts. This is our very first step on the ladder, and it is firmly grounded in absolute certainty. The formula here is perfectly balanced. You use the present simple to set your if condition, and you match it straight up with the present simple for the result. Present simple in, present simple out. And there's a really good reason it's so balanced. We reserve the zero conditional entirely for undeniable facts, general truths, or things that literally always happen. For instance, if you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. That's a scientific guarantee, right? Or how about, if I don't sleep enough, I feel tired? I mean, that's a universal truth we can all definitely relate to. The zero conditional grounds us in pure, unadulterated reality. No guessing, no what-ifs, just facts. Which brings us to section 3. The first conditional, focusing on possible futures. Now we're taking one step away from absolute facts and stepping into the realm of things that are real possibilities. Because it's no longer a 100% guaranteed fact, our formula has to shift a little bit. We keep the present simple for our if condition, but to show that the result is just a possibility, we introduce the word will along with the base verb. So if it rains tomorrow, I will stay home. The rain isn't guaranteed, right? It's just a possibility, so staying home is the possible result of that. Now let's look at a super common trap. Listen to this mistake. If you will study hard, you will pass. Actually, scratch that. Do not say that. It's incorrect. You want to avoid putting will inside the condition clause. The general rule is to use the present simple immediately after the word if. So the correct way to say it is, if you study hard, you will pass. Just remember to save the will entirely for the result part of the sentence. All right, section 4, the second conditional. We're officially entering imaginary situations. This is a major threshold. We are leaving reality in the rearview mirror and crossing over into improbability. And to signal to the listener that we're moving away from reality, the grammar literally steps backwards in time. We use the past simple for our condition, and we pair it with would plus a base verb for the result. That past tense shift is essentially a giant flashing neon sign that says, hey, this is not a real current situation. You're going to use this for scenarios in the present or future that are highly unlikely, unreal, or completely made up. Think about this one. If I had $1 million, I would buy a big house. Now, do I actually have $1 million? Sadly, no, I do not. Notice how using the word had instantly shows it's unreal. We also use this all the time for giving advice. When you say, if I were you, I would talk to your teacher. You're setting up a totally imaginary condition. Unless we've somehow magically swapped bodies, I am obviously not you. Section 5, the third conditional. Welcome to the unreal past. We have reached the very top of the ladder. This is the realm of absolute impossibilities. And they are impossible solely because they are permanently locked in the past. We can't change what already happened. So the formula steps even further back in time. The condition now demands the past perfect, so that's had plus the past participle, and our result shifts over to would have plus a past participle. This right here is your ultimate grammatical tool for expressing regrets. It's how we analyze what-ifs for things that never actually happened. Look at this example. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. Well, the reality is, I didn't study hard, and unfortunately, I didn't pass. Or take, if she had left earlier, she would have caught the bus. She didn't leave early, so she missed it completely. We use the third conditional when we want to sit back and imagine a totally different past. Finally, Section 6, Review and Quick Challenge. Let's lock all this knowledge in. We've climbed the whole ladder of reality today, from concrete facts all the way up to unchangeable past regrets. And this master matrix lays all 4 formulas out side by side. It is a beautifully logical system once you see it like this. You can literally watch the grammar shift backwards in time as you move down the list. 0 uses present simple twice for facts. First brings in will for possible futures. Second steps back to past simple and would for imaginary stuff. And third pushes all the way back to past perfect and would have for the unreal past.
Okay, time for a quick challenge. Let's test your understanding right on the spot. Look at this sentence. If I have enough money tomorrow, I blank buy a new phone. Which word correctly fills in that blank? Is it A, would, B, will, or C, would have? Take just a second. Think about the condition. It's about tomorrow, and having money is a real possibility.
Did you get it? The correct answer is B, will. If I have enough money tomorrow, I will buy a new phone. Because having enough money tomorrow is a very real possible future situation, we absolutely have to use the first conditional structure. Whenever you're writing or speaking and you suddenly get stuck wondering which formula to use, just fall back on these 4 simple anchor words. 0 equals facts. First equals possible future. Second equals imaginary. Third equals unreal past. If you can memorize those 4 core associations, you are always going to know exactly which rung on the ladder of reality you need to be standing on. The folks over at Nova English Academy remind us that English really does get easier the more you practice. And speaking of cause and effect, I want to leave you with a thought that goes a little bit beyond just grammar. When you look at your own life and the causes and effects within it, which condition will you change today to create a better result tomorrow? Keep practicing, keep climbing that ladder, and I'll catch you in the next